Always be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman. No, just kidding. Okay, in today's video blog, I want to talk about the importance of tracking showings and feedback when you're selling one of your rehab properties. So you've bought this property, you've renovated it, now you've got it up for sale, and you're trying to sell this property to a retail buyer, right? And so you can make a profit flipping a house. Now, when it comes to that point, you're at the very end, you've done all this work, you've got your deal up, it's for sale, you've got an agent probably that's has a listing and they're showing it. Now, one of the most important things you can do at this point in the game is make sure that you're tracking your showings, which is really simple. All you have to do is you have to have your agent set you up on email notification each and every time a showing is scheduled. Now, why is that important? Because your showings tells you everything about your property and your price, right? So if you're consistently getting showings, then you know that you're priced correctly and that you're gonna sell the property. If you're not getting any showings, or the showings are very few, then that tells you for some reason buyers aren't even coming in the door to see the property. So it's important to see and track how your showing activity is taking place. Now the second thing is feedback. Okay, every time there's a showing, you've got to get feedback. Feedback tells you everything. It tells you what the market thinks about your property. Without feedback, you have no idea what the market thinks, and the market doesn't lie. I'll give you an example. I've got a friend who recently he has a property for sale. He's had it listed for 60 days. He's consistently getting 5 to 7 showings a week for the past 60 days. I asked him, what's your feedback? No offers. He's had no offers. I said, what's your feedback? I don't know. He's not tracking his feedback. He's had all those showings. He's got no idea what the market thinks of his house. Now, I'm not talking about those automated emails that say, what did you think of the property? Sometimes the agents will reply back to those, the buyer's agent who showed the property. A lot of times they won't. Sometimes when they do reply to those, it's very limited. It's not very much information. My agreements with my listing agents is to specifically, personally call each and every agent who shows a property and get that feedback. Now there are 5 questions that I like to ask. I like to ask, how did the property show with your buyer? What do you, the agent, what do you think of the price? What was their least favorite thing of the property, the buyer, that they liked least? What did they like most about the property? And on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best, how does this property rate? Okay, those are 5 really important questions that you need to find out from the buyer and from the agent. Okay, if you don't specifically ask those questions, if your agent's not calling up the buyer's agents that are showing properties, you may not know, you may not have good feedback. Let me give one example of how this is really beneficial. So I had a property listed for $249,000. Now I was getting lots of showings and I was getting my feedback. And one of the comments that I consistently saw was that they didn't like the bay window. It had this big bay window in the front. It was actually to the office of the property. And so I didn't think anything of it. I mean, it didn't bother me. I didn't think it was anything wrong there, but it was showing up in my feedback. It was a comment people were making. Here's what I did. I planted a tree in front of the window, and on the inside, I put some very inexpensive window treatments. Now, that alone cost me only $175 to dress up that window. My very next showing, I sold the property, okay? Had I not gotten that feedback, I would have never known that buyers didn't like that window, and it was a simple thing to fix. Now, not everything you can fix easily, right? If you're on a busy road and people are saying, I don't like the busy road, there's not much you can do about that other than lower your price. So feedback is absolutely critical. Make sure when you list your property with an agent that you make it very clear to them, look, I want you or somebody in your office, I want someone to call these agents and be persistent. I want to hear feedback on every single one of my showings. All right, thanks for joining me.